Hello and welcome to today's Terraria video. Today we're going to be doing a tutorial on how to unlock the Goblin Tinkerer. First things first, you're going to need to summon the Goblin Army, which requires two things. First of all, you need to be at least 200 max health, which can be achieved using life crystals. You can find those in caves and everything like that. You can use those, increase your maximum health. Once your maximum health is at least 200, you can start a Goblin Army invasion. Now, in order to actually start the invasion, you either need to use the special summon item called the Goblin Battle Standard, or you can actually just mine one of those shadow orbs you could see down there, blowing up this this corrupt cave. And then when you get into there, you need to use a hammer to mine that. I forgot my hammer, so I will have to return back home in order to grab my hammer. But you can just mine that with your hammer, and all you have to do is mine one, and then the Goblin Army can spawn. Basically, it's a 1 in 30 chance every morning after you've mined at least that one shadow orb. So as you can see, I've returned with my hammer and I'm mining this shadow orb. You get loot from it. Now if you mine 3 of them, it's going to start the Eater of Worlds boss fight, but all you need to do is mine 1, and then that will allow the Eater of Worlds, or not the Eater of Worlds, sorry, that will allow the Goblin Army invasion to spawn in. It'll start at a random morning. I believe it's a 1 in 30 chance. Pre-hard mode anyway. You get a 1 in 30 chance of it happening each morning. So if you don't want to wait for the Goblin invasion to just happen like naturally, you can actually use the summon item to start an invasion. And here I'm actually trying to show you a helpful item you can use to help farm the Tattered Cloth you're going to need to make the summon item. If you look in the dungeon, as you can see, I've went pretty deep here because I've already beat Skeletron, but around the surface area there are these water candles which increase enemy spawn rates when you're nearby them. Oftentimes they're actually in that top room above the dungeon instead of actually in the surface here. But you find them here, and then you can bring it over to the side of the world where the Goblin Scout spawns. And once you get a bunch of Goblin Scouts and you kill them, you get the Tattered Cloth. That's how you're going to make the summon item. So as you can see, I'm over here at the side of the world, and I actually already have this little contraption built, but I am going to tear it down here in a second and rebuild it for you guys. So I actually noticed there is an easier way to do things than what I have set up. So when I rebuild it, I initially tried to go for the same design, but then I realized that there's no need to go with this design. There's a much simpler way to do it. So as you can see, I mined out the old contraption. I'm starting here with a new one. I originally placed down the platforms here, but I wanted to recenter them over to that torch. So I actually picked them back up, as you can see. But basically what we're building is we're going to build this little box where the enemies can't reach us, but we can still shoot out and hit the enemies using any ranged weapon, or even melees really. But all you have to do is place your platforms like so. So as you can see, I spaced them out. You don't have to space them out specifically, it's just I preferred it to look a little bit better by spacing it properly. Then here you can see I build the roof, and then I actually begin to do some unnecessary work here because I thought I had to build a separate entrance, but then I realized that I didn't, because you can actually get through the entrance fairly easily even though enemies can't. So as we can see here, if we just kind of ignore the extra building that I did here, I use a hammer and I rotate all of these platforms to be facing the way that you could see here. Basically what that does is that stops enemies from walking in through that way. It also stops players, but as you can see there, I got through. So what I did was I went up to it, I walked up until it bumped me up a little bit, and then I held down to like go down on the platform while I continued to walk forward, and that let me through. So as you can see here, I'm actually just kind of discovering that for the first time, how you can actually get through there. But the enemies will not be able to walk through those platforms. Slimes will. They'll be able to slowly get through. It takes them a really long time to, so you'll have plenty of time to kill them. But other than that, nothing else can really get through. So here we can see the final little compartment there. Basically, nothing can get through there. What we want to do is place one more platform up top there, and then grab our water torch that we found from the castle or the dungeon, and we're just going to place that right on top there, and that's just going to increase the spawn rate, so they're going to come at us a lot faster. There's going to be more of them, which is going to increase how much loot we get. So I should be placing it up there any second. But you can see the Goblin Scout, that guy right in front of me there. Notice how he jumped right up top. He jumped up because he can't actually reach us. You could build a you could build out further, so that way once they reach the little platforms there where they can't walk through, at least they won't jump up if you don't want them to go on the top. But that's perfectly fine in my situation. I have a few weapons with homing and everything, so them going up top is no big deal. But once you kill them, you can get the Tattered Cloth items from them, and that can be used to craft our basically it can be used to craft the Goblin Battle Standard, which is the item you use to force a Goblin Army to invade your world. And as you can see here, I was messing around trying to see if I could stop the slimes from getting through, so there is a second set of platforms there, but they don't really help, so I ended up removing those later. What I did was I put the water torch, or water candle, right up top, and then I placed a campfire on the inside there. That campfire is going to give us a small healing bonus while we're in there, in case we ever have to run there while we're low health, although that shouldn't really be happening. That's just kind of a weird place to be at with low health, you know? But yeah, that's basically how you would farm the Tattered Cloth. So the next step, as you can see me doing here, would be to craft the actual item, and in order to do that you need a loom. Now, I did not have a loom in this playthrough, so I had to make one. In order to make a loom, you first need to make a saw table, and in order to make a saw table you need chains, iron bars, and I believe there was one more item. I think it's probably just wood. But then you use the saw table to craft a loom using wood and iron bars, I believe. And then from there, you can use the loom to craft the Goblin Battle Standard, which can be used to summon a Goblin Army on the spot if you don't want to wait for a random chance for it to spawn in. And another thing is, as you saw me show a bit earlier, if you go up to a living loom and attempt to do the recipe, it does not work. The living loom does not replace a loom. You're going to need a regular loom in order to do this. So as you can see, I'm crafting the sawmill here, and then I'm going to place down the sawmill over in that room. And then once you go to the sawmill, you can open your crafting, and you should be able to make the loom. Now we're going to place the loom down, and if we go over into the crafting, should see it in there somewhere. Of course, I forgot to actually grab the Tattered Cloth because I had it put away, but once you have the Tattered Cloth with you and you go up to the loom, you can craft the Goblin Battle Standard, which will summon the Goblin Army. So as you can see, when I use the item, in the bottom left, it tells us that a Goblin Army is approaching from the west. So the west side of your world will be on the left-hand side, and the east side will be on your right-hand side. Basically, you just want to summon the Goblin Army and fight it off. You don't have to use an arena. I just already had an arena built right over there, so I figured why not go to my arena and fight them there. I'll have a bit better mobility on the platforms, and I'll have a bit better healing because of all the campfires. So basically, you just want to kill these guys. They are decently strong. But basically, it's just going to be like a event that happens for a while. You kill them until eventually it's cleared, and then once the Goblin Army is cleared, you can find the Goblin Tinkerer underground. Another thing to note is if you have beat the Wall of Flesh in your world already, which usually you don't do until after the whole thing with the Goblin Tinkerer and everything, but if you have beat the Wall of Flesh and activated hard mode in your world, the goblins will drop much better loot. You'll be getting a lot better weapons and everything. You'll be getting actual, instead of just coins, you'll be getting gear from them, which is very useful. I believe it's very powerful gear as well. So yeah, you just want to kill them until the whole thing is cleared. You can see your progress in the bottom right. I am pretty sure if you die during this event, you will still be able to continue clearing the Goblin Army. So there's no worries there about not having enough health and, ending up dying before you can finish the event. So basically, I'm just going to clear this, and then after that, I'm going to have to look for the Goblin Tinkerer. If you guys are enjoying this video, please leave a like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you have something to say. And if you don't like it, then I guess you can dislike the video. I don't really care. But as you can see, we have defeated the Goblin Army. There's a few more guys left that I just kill real quick. And then basically from there, we just move on with looking for the Goblin Tinkerer. One thing that helps with finding the Goblin Tinkerer is using Hunter Potions. The reason being, the Goblin Tinkerer will appear highlighted in green, so even if it's dark wherever you are, you will be able to see him. And he is tied up, so he won't be able to walk around, so you will have to find him and untie him. And the Hunter Potion just makes it a lot easier to actually find him. And then basically all you have to do is go up and interact with him. So, as you can see, I grabbed my Hunter Potions. I'm organizing my inventory a bit. And then we're going to go find this Goblin Tinkerer. So I have actually headed back to the corruption area with a few more sticky bombs just to blow open this last little area, get into the mushroom biome over here. And basically I'm just going to search the mushroom biome in hopes that I find him. And this is also a biome which hasn't been explored in this world yet. So, technically, at the start of this video, the Goblin Tinkerer was already in the world since I had already beat the Goblin Army before this in the video. Like, before the video, I actually beat the Goblin Army by myself off camera. Now I'm just showing you guys again, so you guys know how to do it. I just repeated all the steps, and now I have to actually look for him, which hasn't been done yet. That's the only thing that you don't really repeat. So, as you can see, I'm just looking through this cave, mining around, looting things, getting ores and everything, killing a bunch of enemies, and just exploring the mushroom biome. So eventually, you will find the Goblin Tinkerer just from exploring. But if you do actually actively go out and look for him, ignore everything else, it might be a little bit quicker. I would recommend just sticking to your normal exploration until you find him. And then when you find him, you find him. As you can see, I exit the original mushroom cave I was in, and I just continued to explore around, just start mining, start looting for treasure and everything. You see I'm mining some ores and everything. And eventually I will drink a hunter potion, and that will help me actually find the Goblin Tinkerer. As you can see right here, I drink the hunter potion, and then I start looking around even more. Now completely ignoring the ores for a second, just because it's going to take up too much time. It's going to burn through the potion. As you can see, all the enemies are glowing red here. Whenever we actually come across the Goblin Tinkerer, he will glow green, and we will actually be able to see him in the dark. As you can see, we've found this little area with lava, and if you look in the bottom right, you will see the Goblin Tinkerer glowing green due to that hunter potion we drank. And in a second here, when I go over and reach him, you'll see me actually interact with him, and this is going to untie him. It's going to allow us to shop from him. It's going to allow us to use his Reforge ability. It's also going to allow him to actually come home later. So as you can see, he's bound right now. He's a bound goblin. We interact, and he's untied. And now we can shop. You can see all of his items there. And there's also the Reforge ability he has, which will basically change the prefix on your weapon. I'll show you more about that later. So here you can see I'm just setting up the housing for him. So once you actually free the Goblin Tinkerer, he will be able to come home to the housing that you have prepared. It's just you have to actually have some housing available to him. So I built another house because I didn't notice that other one with the door missing. I'm not sure why the door is missing there, but if I had replaced that door, then that would have finished the housing there, and he would have been able to move in there. But basically, he can move in instead of staying down there in the cave. But as you'll see soon, he actually does die down there. And when he dies down there, that basically means he's going to have to respawn in the next morning. So that's no big deal. It just means you have to wait a little bit longer for him to actually be there, but he will show up again if he dies, so there's nothing to worry about there. Alright, and if we look in the bottom left, we can see that the Goblin Tinkerer has arrived.
Well, I'm not
now,
sure where he's up
we
there.
Can actually go up to him.
Tinkerer has arrived.
Make purchases. We can
so as you can see, after they die, they respawn. That goes for every NPC, I believe.
Prefixes, which will in turn give us better stats. So I will show you that in just a second. So first and foremost, you can go to the Goblin Tinkerer and buy the Tinkerer's Workshop, which can be used to combine a bunch of accessories. There's plenty of crafting recipes you can find online and everything to combine your accessories to get one accessory that has multiple benefits. So I placed the Tinkerer's Workshop down here, and just as an example, you can see I have my cloud in a bottle and my balloon. So I'm going to take them out of my accessory slots, and now I can make the actual cloud in a balloon item using the Tinkerer's Workshop. So once I craft that and equip it, it's going to give me the benefits of both of the accessories, which basically frees up an extra space for me that I can use to equip something else. The other really useful item he sells is the rocket boots, but you can also use him to reforge your items. So as you can see, I have this damaged blue moon. It's going to cost me some gold to reforge it. As you can see, it's going to cost a little more on the musket and a little less on the umbrella. But basically, I can reforge these to get better prefixes. So as you can see me do here in a second, I'm going to reforge this damaged blue moon, which I believe is what I just grabbed the currency for. Or no, I did not grab... Oh, yes, I did. So I have the godly blue moon now. And I'm also going to do the musket. I got awful the first time, so I re-rolled it, and I got hasty. So as you can see, that's a relatively expensive but still very effective way at increasing your weapons stats. You can also do that with accessories, I believe. It is pretty expensive, but later in the game it'll definitely be worth it. Now I am actually going to go use this godly blue moon to fight the Eye of Cthulhu, because why not? So if you guys want to stick around and watch that, feel free.
Alright. Eye of Cthulhu spawn. So yeah, this weapons definitely. Yeah, godly with this weapon, but fighting him with a better weapon, getting that godly preset on it or prefix on it, definitely made it a lot quicker.
Alright guys, if you enjoyed this video, found it helpful, please leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment. If you didn't find this video helpful, you didn't like it, whatever, leave a dislike, don't care. Go ahead, click off the video, click on some other YouTuber who's got much more subscribers and is probably much more trustworthy. I'll see you in the next one.